Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Scrappy Piano Teacher Podcast. My name is Jacqueline Morozic, but of course you can call me Jackie. And this podcast is for piano teachers who love their students, care deeply about their work, and also need some honest, down-to-earth teacher talk. Sometimes that looks like practical ideas, and other times it simply looks like piano teacher therapy. Usually it's a little mix of both. Either way, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for joining me. And today I'm going to talk about something that's been heavy on my brain for a while. I mean, like a few months. You know how at the beginning of every year, people are like, what's your word of the year going to be? Or maybe a phrase, like #blessed. Or I don't know. Actually, I'm trying to think of what some of my words or phrases have been in the past. And I can't think of any, but this year, the thing that kept coming back to me over and over again, I still haven't made it official. Here we are in February, and I'm still trying to decide. But what keeps coming back in my brain is back to basics, back to basics. And I think that the reason for this for me, there's multiple reasons, actually. I think one of the biggest ones is I've said yes to too many things. And I have a lot going on in my life, a lot of great things, but I really just need to get back to basics because it's too much. Just because I can do something doesn't mean that I should be doing it. And I know that I'm not alone because I have talked to a lot of piano teachers, and I think that that is how a lot of you have been feeling about your piano studios. So I thought, what better way than to have a podcast episode all about this very topic? And I mentioned the whole back to basics thing to a piano teacher friend too, because I was trying to say, maybe I should just do a word and not a phrase. I mean, who made these rules? I don't know. I don't know who made these rules. Are there rules? It doesn't matter. But she was like, well, do you think that maybe you're thinking more like simplify? And yes, I definitely need to simplify things, but I keep finding myself wanting to go even further, like the nitty gritty. Like I want to take everything apart down to the bare structure, like a skeletal structure, if you will, and really go back to the basics in all areas of my life. My family, meal planning. Ugh. Boy, have I gotten off the wagon on that one. Extra projects, volunteer work, the podcast, and my studio. A lot of this has been inspired by conversations I've had with many of you, and it's just got me thinking about what back to the basics actually means for a piano studio. Not in a discouraging way, not as a step backwards, but as a way to build something that actually is going to hold up long term. And what does that mean for us? How can we go about getting back to the basics? Because when you have built a full studio, there are a lot of elements, and to sift through all of this can be quite overwhelming. Now, when I talk about back to basics, I want to be really clear about what I do not mean. I am not talking about starting over. I'm not talking about doing less or giving up on a project that you've put so much work into. I'm not talking about shrinking your studio, lowering your standards, or undoing a lot of hard work that you've already done. What I am talking about is returning to the few things that actually support your teaching and your life. Again, that skeletal structure, if you will. What is going to give you clarity? Because when things start to feel really fuzzy, that's usually a signal and a sign, and you start wondering, what's going on? Why do I feel fuzzy? Why do I feel icky? So this fuzziness for piano studios, it usually shows up in a few core areas: schedule, boundaries, policies and communication, and money, energy management. Yeah, we got all of this stuff, and we're going to pick it all apart today, kind of ish. But here's the thing. When I was really trying to boil all of this down, and I'm writing things out, and I'm writing podcasts, and I'm just reflecting and doing all the things, the image that kept coming back to me was one of my closets. So a few years ago, I converted a spare room into my morning room. My morning room, let me tell you, is like my sanctuary, guys. I have a TV, but I have books, and it's like pretty. I've made it very pretty. I have chaise lounge. Remember that commercial from like 20 years ago where she's like on her chaise. Yeah, I have my chaise and all my kitty cats hang out with me on there. I mean, it is like my place. So when I wake up at, 5:30, 6:30, depending on the day, I literally stumble in from my bedroom into my morning room onto my chaise, and I just lay there in the dark with a kitty cat or two. But then it's really nice because I have like these really dim lights and I turn them on and I can do my scripture reading and I can, start planning out my day. And it is amazing. If I can recommend anything to you at all, especially when those children start leaving the nest and you're like, well, they're gone. And you finally decide to redo one of their rooms, morning room, do the morning room. Okay. Anywho, the closet of the morning room was a total mess. I have ignored it. So everything's looking beautiful. Everything's great, except for this closet. And of course, I have these bins that are clear. So you can see all the stuff in them. You can see all the papers and clutter. And it just is piling and piling and piling. And I've got clothes. And people start like throwing stuff in there. And my home was built in the early 90s. So we have these doors these sliding doors for the closet, and they kept falling off the tracks. So I just took them off. I was like, whatever. So it's an open closet. So there's no hiding this stuff. I can't like just shut the door and say goodbye, but I've ignored it forever. Like years, avoided it like the plague. It just seemed kind of overwhelming and didn't seem fun or glamorous. I don't like it. It's not fun. But anyway, a few weeks ago, I walked in to my morning room and I looked at the closet and I just started ripping everything out of it. I couldn't take it anymore. I started pulling it all out. And let me tell you, it got crazy messy. I mean, you couldn't see the floor. It was a total mess. Pretty sure I lost one of my cats for a couple of hours, but they all ended up being accounted for. So it's all good. But I went through everything piece by piece and I did the sorting, I kept what mattered. I got rid of what didn't, lots of garbage. I relocated some other spare storage space. And you guys, it didn't take me as long as I thought it would. I mean, it wasn't fast, but it didn't take me as long as I thought it would. And are we surprised? No, we're not surprised by that. However, let me tell you, now that it's done, when I stumble in here in the dark, in the wee hours of the morning, it is amazing. It is open. It is just, I cannot believe the amount of clarity that my brain is getting from this closet. Okay. And it was going back to the basics for my closet. And I'm totally, absolutely 100% going to compare that to a piano studio because it fits so nicely. I mean, think about it. Most of us never do the full closet, like we're like a little pile here, a little pile there. Maybe we like take a little bit out and we get started and then we're like, ugh, it's because we're tired. It's because we're burnt out. We have so much stuff going on. And then we just keep trying to rearrange these systems without ever really resetting them. It's just what we do. It's okay. You're not the only one. I know I'm not the only one. All right. So how do you know when it's actually time for a reset? Because this definitely isn't something that you were going to do every week, but you don't want to wait 5 years to do, 10 years, right? So really, I think it's more or less looking for signals. And one of the biggest signs of feeling behind is when you are technically on top of things. Your emails are answered, your lessons are planned, you've got all the music, you got all the rep, right? We're cooking, we're doing good, your studio's running. And yet there's this low level pressure or heaviness or resentment. And what is interesting on teacher burnout, of course, there's been a good amount of studies on teacher burnout. One of them that I really, really like is one by Christina Maslach. And she shows that there's some warning signs. She's a psychologist, and she determined that burnout often appears before the performance drops, especially in educators who care deeply and are doing good work. So what she's saying is that the burnout is happening as things are going really, really good. Like things are going great. I'm feeling crummy. I don't know why. I mean, that is a sign. That's a sign. So if you are like there, listen, okay? It does. It describes us piano teachers perfectly because this happens to all of us. Another sign is constant tweaking. Okay, so hear me out. Adjusting your policies, rearranging your schedule, rewriting emails, tweaking itself isn't bad. I do it all the time, all the time. But when nothing ever settles, when it's all surface level adjusting, like you're just adjusting the top, but the bottom is like, super gross. It means that the foundation, it needs attention. Another big one is dread around administration. So not the teaching itself, but everything around the teaching. So your emails and your scheduling and money conversations, talking to parents about money sometimes. Oh my goodness gracious. I don't like that. I'm not a fan. But education research consistently shows that it's the surrounding systems, not the teaching itself, that creates the most long-term strain. Another sign that really doesn't get talked about enough is being successful on paper, but exhausted in real life. You have a full studio, you're doing good work, people are practicing, yay. And yet the rest alone doesn't fix the tiredness. You're just like, do I have to teach again today? But you love teaching. But do I have to do it? Yes, you do. Yes, you have to teach. And that's got nothing to do with your motivation. I mean, it might feel that way, but it's more sustainability. You might also notice resentment creeping in towards your schedule, towards certain policies, towards certain situations with certain families. I think maybe it just means that it's time to pause and to do some intentional maintenance. And that's what we're going to do today. One of the reasons why this feels so hard is something psychology calls path dependence. Once a system is in motion, early choices quietly lock things in. So schedules, rates, policies, expectations, boundaries, their lack of. Changing them later doesn't feel like improvement. It usually feels like disruption. It feels like you're going backwards. It feels unprofessional or like you're going back on your word. Now, when I really started putting all this together, I started thinking about this in anchors like ANCH. ORS. And these actually are things that we work through step by step inside of the Studio Reset cohort. But even if you're going to be doing this on your own, anchors give you a way to interrupt that stuck feeling without blowing everything up. So anchor number 1, structure. Structure beats motivation. When I say structure, I'm talking about your schedule, your policies, your communication systems, and your philosophies, how decisions get made in your studio. Like, how is your studio built? What is it built upon? Your skeletal structure of that, if you will. And a lot of us wait to make these changes for when we feel motivated. Like, I don't feel motivated by this. Boo-hoo. I have no motivation. I feel this way all the time. We wait for energy, we wait for clarity, but both psychology and real life show that motivation usually comes after action, not before. And when I learned that, that changed so much for me. Clear schedules, clear policies, clear systems, these carry you when you're tired, overwhelmed, or just, living your most human life. And that is how structure is going to help you break your path dependence. You're going to change the environment instead of asking yourself to try harder. Okay, anchor number 2, boundaries. Oh my goodness. Boundaries. We're always talking about that. Actually, that was my very first episode ever, way back in the day, like a whole year and a half ago, when I was the Music Teacher Mastermind podcast. That was my very first episode, was Boundaries with Anna Fagan and Monica Monachino. Shout out, ladies. But here's the thing about boundaries. I think that a lot of people think that enforcing them is going to make them strict or cold and not like that warm, lovey-dovey, like, oh, we're learning music, But it's kind of the opposite, actually, because when you don't have boundaries, you're not doing a favor for anyone, your students, your parents, or you, because boundaries protect your energy so you can actually show up well for students and be a good teacher. When boundaries are unclear, you're going to start resenting a lot of things. And going back to basics here doesn't mean fixing everything at once, but it's going to be noticing one place where you're stretched thin, where you're noticing some resentment, and asking whether that resentment is because a boundary's been crossed. All right, anchor number 3, clarity over customization. Now, hear me out on this one. I think this one is hard for teachers because we care about our students. We want want to accommodate. We see families up close and personal and a lot of stuff that's going on in their lives. But when everything is customized for everyone, it's not going to be very sustainable. Think about it. We see our students once a week, 30 minutes to an hour, sometimes just one student, sometimes two students. Maybe you have groups of them. All right. And if you are a teacher in a school, how big is your classroom size, right? Okay, like the average classroom size in the US, I don't even know because we're homeschoolers, but I would guess 23-ish, maybe. I don't know, give or take. And if you recall, when I talked about magic numbers for piano studios, 25 was the really popular number. I have 35 students in my studio, and that's me dwindling down. And remember, that is not a badge of honor, right? Like the badge of honor is having a magic number and sticking with your magic number. Anywho, I'm getting off course here. What I'm trying to say is that most of us have more students during the week that we see than your average US classroom that they see every day. And are things customized for kids in the classroom? I think they are more than they used to be. Like they might be pulled out for special things, reading, that kind of thing. But for the most part, everybody's following the same sequence. Now, hear me out. I'm not saying that your whole studio is going to have identical goals. I don't even think that's realistic with what we do in any way, shape, or form. But I guess what I'm saying more is clear expectations as a studio as a whole. Figuring out your goals for each student from the very beginning, having clear processes, clear communication so things don't fall through the cracks and you're not carrying it all in your head. And this is why I'm a really big fan on doing collaborative classes or performance classes throughout the year, because everybody might be doing something a little different, but you're all kind of going towards the same common goal, if you will. That's something really to think about. I think that could be a whole nother podcast in itself if it needs to be. All right. Anchor number 4, sustainability is the real goal. Teaching is a long game. A studio that works for one season but drains you year after year is not actually working. So going back to the basics asks a different question. Like, do I want to live like this next year? Do I want to live this way 5 years from now? Are you actually thinking like, I just need to get through the end of January and everything will be okay. I just need to get through the end of February and it'll be okay. I just need to get through the end of April and things are going to get so much better. I mean, this is a cycle, it gets better, but then you're just going to start something again. That's not helpful. It's not sustainable. So if you are listening and you're thinking, Jackie, this is all making sense. I'm getting it, but it feels like a lot. And I want to end with something very small for you and very doable. And I do not want you to overhaul your studio this week. That is not the goal. You might never listen to me ever again if you try to do that, because I will be setting you up for failure because it's just too much work. Instead, just pick one small reset. Choose one area that's just really making you feel icky and gross. It's making you sigh at the end of the day, like, oh, not even a good sigh, not like an attractive, cute sigh, like a troll sigh, like, oh, I didn't practice my troll sighs. Sorry. Anyway, ask yourself one simple question. What decision am I remaking over and over again here? Is it late tuition? That one family, they're always late, constantly. Is it makeup lessons? Is it the text messages at night? Oh, I hate those. I just need that one text message at night to make me lose all my sleep. But think about a boundary that maybe you keep bending. I'm going to go back to the tuition thing. That one family. Why are they always late? How are they getting away with this? Why do they think this is okay? Do you have a boundary on this? Do you need to maybe set one in place, have a difficult conversation, and then think, okay, how can I prevent this in the future? Stuff like that. Decide just one thing, one decision you make once instead of every month, every week, whatever. And small resets build trust with yourself. They're going to build confidence. The more you do it, you'll be like, yeah, I got this. I'm good at this. And confidence is what's missing a lot of time, not your ability. I know you're awesome. I know that you can do this. So you are allowed to adjust your studio as your life changes. This is your business. It's your studio. Now, listen, if you don't want to do this alone, that is why I have the Studio Reset cohort. Whether you join or not, the starting point is going to be the same. It's going to be with small decisions, small shifts, back to the basics, man, back to the basics. You don't have to start over. It's just a reset. And also, listen, if this episode felt like something that you needed to hear, I hope it gave you clarity and permission to pause and look at your studio with fresh eyes. And if you're interested in going deeper with this work, my Studio Reset cohort is open for registration through February 6th. You can find all the details at Scrappy Piano Teacher Reset. But please do me another favor. Read the entire description so you know exactly what it is and who it's for. I do have a limited number of spots open because this is going to be some deep work. I mean, we're really getting into it. It's not just a willy-nilly kind of evergreen course. This is something that we are working in together, step by step, and I'm going to be there every step of the way with you. But when I say read the full description, read it, because there are a limited amount of scholarships. So if you're like, man, this is what I really, really need, the last thing that I want is for finances to hold you back, because I really, really think that this will help a lot of teachers. And some of the teachers that need it the most are the ones who are a little bit tighter on the finances. So take a look at that. And one last thing before I go. I am having a free Scrappy Circle meetup coming up called Let's Talk Recitals with the lovely, wise Jana Williamson. There are no strings attached. It's got nothing to do with anything that we're talking about today. It's just a free Zoom call talking about recitals. I mean, how much fun is that? It's going to be on February 13th of 2026, noon Eastern time. You can RSVP at scrappypianoteacher.com/Scrappy Circle. Now, hear me out. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm so glad that you're listening. I need you guys to do me a solid and subscribe. Subscribe. That helps me out more than, you have no idea how much this helps me when you subscribe. And then if you want to be above and beyond, leave me a 5-star review. Man, does that help me out. And that's all I got. I'm officially done. Thanks for being here. I love you guys. Talk to you later. Bye.